almost 34.
Yeah, end of the month.
That's right.
Big Island surfing, whoa, whoa, whoa. Big Island surfing, and breakfast with Bob and Brother Pete.
Yeah, Poncho Man. We are brought to you by Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Puerto Resort, Rudy Project. We're on Slow Twitch. My next guest, one of our favorite people, who's very relaxed this week, 2012 Ironman World Champion, Mr. Pete Jacobs. Round of applause for our man, Pete. Yeah, and he loves the applause because he's coming to thank God I'm not racing on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your party. First time I've ever been able to come.
I know. So is it one of those things this week where you're going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not racing? Or is it one of those things where you're going, this is sort of nice?
Oh yeah, no, it's very nice. I'm really happy I'm not racing. If something had happened, a week ago, it'd be really tough. But, it was 4 or 5 weeks ago. I was only just sort of ramping up and, things just went pear-shaped. So, it was easy to make that decision that far out.
Injury or just your
body?
Yeah, just
illness. Yeah, body just was like, nah, we can't get it here and where I need to be. And, just got sick a bit. So easy decision, really. I've had a couple of tough years here.
Right.
It's just easy decision to not come back and do it a third time. Wait till I'm, 100%, sort out all that stuff and, come back stronger and really more focused next year.
So the hard part is you got into this so young in terms of a full Ironman, right? How old were you when you first won?
I was 20 when I did my first full
Okay,
Ironman.
and you're going to turn 34 in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you've done how many, you think?
About 34.
About 34 full Ironmans.
Yeah.
That's a lot of racing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of racing, and you're also a guy who's run, low 240s numerous times here and in other parts of the world. Do you feel that there's a point where, your body's just saying, gosh, I'm not sure if I can do this anymore? Mark Allen talked about he needed a break. He needed 1994 not to race because he just was burnt.
Yeah, definitely. It's harder. My recovery getting slower and slower.
Yeah.
So to have a bit of time out to really fully recharge, reset a few, tight niggles here and tight things here and there, just to get the body flowing a bit better is what I'm really focused on at the moment. And, so it's a great time. I'm only just, close to 34. Bumped into Mark Allen just before his interview, and he said, "Oh, you got heaps of time,
Totally.
And I do, yeah. I could skip a few years and still come back. And those guys that came back, and Welchie and Dave, that come back when they're 40 and do so well. I think it's easy to skip a couple of years and learn more about how to come back stronger.
Right. We were just talking to Ben Hoffman about finishing second last year and then winning the next year, and there's a lot of people in that club. Yourself, Tim DeBoom, Thomas Hellriegel,
and
Marinda, Crowe. What was the transition going from finishing second, knowing, okay, I'm this close, right, to winning the following year?
It was a dream that I'd had for a long time. But it was more changing that from just thinking, oh, this is a dream I've got, to, okay, if I really want to do this, I've got to want the win. So from coming second, it was 12 months of, the win is my goal. The win is my goal.
Nothing else.
That was it. And it changes the whole, what you visualize in training, the way that you approach training, the race mentally, because as we know, race day, it's all mentally. So on race day, I made all those right decisions because I was so, relaxed and controlled because I'd practiced it so much in training. I was so prepared for the outcome that it was really just like the, full dress rehearsal.
You didn't surprise yourself.
Yeah, there was no pressure on race day because I'd been here many times before, and that's what I'd planned for and visualized, and so it just sort of went to plan really, and no pressure. It was the easiest year I've ever done here.
So when you win, how did that change you and change perceptions and change pressure coming back in 2013?
I guess it got me a little ahead of myself, where it's like, all right, I'm defending champ. I want to come back and I want to have a really strong race. Right. I want to be out the front early on the bike and lead and push the pace because I now know that I can do that.
Right.
But you've got to have the training to back that up and everything. And every year is different. You don't do the exact same sessions for the exact amount of time and all of those things. And, I saw Freddie do the same thing the year after he defended. He
Right.
went out on the bike hard, exactly as I'd done the year before. And, I think you can just get a little carried away with your own, sense of your ability,
Right.
perhaps, and you've got to be a bit more realistic with what you've actually done in training to back up that kind of ego.
Do you feel it's almost an obligation? You've got the number one on, that I'm the one who's supposed to be pushing the pace. I'm the one that feels the responsibility to push things.
Yeah, but that's just something you put on yourself. It's not.
Right.
It's not really. There's no outside force saying that you
No.
have to do that. It's
No.
just something that you get maybe a little carried away with.
Yeah. So that after you have a year where you win, as I remember one time Scott Tinley won a race, and immediately, like, give me a pen and paper, and he wrote down everything he ate, everything he did, and then he did the same exact thing at the next race and blew to the moon.
Yeah.
So now you've got a formula. You've won in 2012. Did you feel like, okay, I've got to follow this formula when you head into 2013?
Yes and no. Like, I also wanted to improve on what I'd done, and
Right.
every year is different. Each year I've had a different injury or illness early in the year. Nearly every year that I've done well here, I had some sort of injury
Right.
early in the year, but it's different each time. And I think just over the years, those injuries and imbalances just add up, and so every year just kind of gets a little off the beaten track a little bit.
Right.
Whether you have a miss this session because of this sort of niggle, or so you're always kind of winding and trying not just to play catch up, and that overall program, the overall kind of what you've done, roughly volume and effort and all that kind of stuff, you try and keep it similar.
Right.
And yeah, that's sort of where I was heading at, in August. I've only ever sort of started my build up in August. So in August, I went to Philippines and just sort of had an okay race at the start of my build up. And then, had a few weeks of going pretty well, but then just, got sick and had to take time out. And as soon as I, missed a week or so, it was like, I can't. Every other year I've had, August to October's gone really well.
Right.
And to have miss a week or two there where it was just kind of illness and coming back from it, there was no chance that I could play catch up at that point. So there is that what I've done previous years, it kind of has to be somewhat similar.
But you have to adapt as well.
Yeah, and I knew that I couldn't have missed a couple of weeks training and then still come here. When every year the race changes and the level is increasing. And as you get older, you kind of realize, hang on, I've beaten myself up, 34 times. Next time I beat myself up, I want to, do it in really good shape and get something out of it. Know going into the race that I know I can have a good result, not just like fingers crossed.
Yeah. Right. So in 2000, after coming in second in 2011, did you have to do a full Ironman leading into in 2012, or did you qualify just by finishing top 10?
Yeah, I was looking back at photos
Yeah.
on my computer the other day, finding photos for social media posts and Flashback Fridays and all
Yeah.
of that. And I scroll through 2012, like, we had a great year. I didn't have great results, but I had a good year. We ended up going and I raced Lake Placid to validate.
Yep.
But at that point in July, I wasn't in great shape and finished about half an hour behind Andy Potts. And then, we had a holiday. We were having a good time in New York, and it was good fun. And then we went to the Philippines, and, I've got some amazing photos and holidaying to islands and helicopter trips and stuff there. It was amazing that it all ended up going so well.
And you ended up winning.
And then come back from the Philippines every year, and that's when I, knuckled down and do the real work. And, it just went really well from that period, August to October, or mid-August to October. I look back, and there's no secret thing. I wasn't like more focused or
Right.
training harder, or it's just consistency, really. Yeah.
Because you could have looked at that at the time. You could have looked at the Lake Placid result and go, "Oh my God, I gotta double up because I'm way off the back." Rather than you had enough confidence in yourself to know, okay, this is where I'm at right now because I'm at 60, 70%.
Yeah, I know my body really well. That's
Yeah.
sort of, why I'm happy to regulate how much training I do and all of that. And I know when I've done too much training, or I know if my body's just off. I know if I need to do more.
Right.
And all of that kind of stuff. In Lake Placid, I knew that I wasn't in great shape, and I also just felt pretty flat on the day. I fell apart pretty early on the bike,
Yeah.
and it was just a long, slow bike ride. And but I just knew I felt a bit flat. But it was still like, you know, a long session and
Sure.
got something out of it, I guess. So yeah, it's just enjoyable. I mean, just to be like I don't stress about it. I don't go, oh, that was a really bad result. You know, lose confidence.
Right.
I still have that inner confidence of, I know I can do this. And, you know, that's why I'm happy to have a year off and be like, I can come back next year because I know that I can still do this well. You know, I know I can still come back and win. I don't have, you know, I'm not losing that inner confidence.
Right. Is this a sport that you can be self-coached, or do you need to have somebody outside looking at what you do?
Yeah, I have a mentor, Al Pittman, who, you know, after winning in 2012, I think I didn't work with him for a couple of years. And then just this year realized, okay, I need to get back to some of the stuff that I was doing in 2012,
Sure.
some of the stuff that I'd written down.
Right.
And back seeing the kinesiologist who helped me with all the
Right.
love and that empowerment and belief systems and stuff. So yeah, just Al just kind of mentors me in terms of, you know, what are you doing? Kind of, where's your head at? Are you doing too much? Should you be thinking about doing this sort of a training and, you know, going through the motions in this mindset kind of thing. So yeah, that's where I was really happy in August how we were going, but then we just got derailed. So yeah, I'm still really happy to write my own sessions. Well, I don't write it, I just go do it.
Right.
Because when I was doing it, when I did really well in 2012, it wasn't a tour program. It was, you know, long hilly rides, and the hills were my efforts. And you know, I had a run program that I was doing, and so I pretty easy to remember what I was doing. You know, it's pretty easy to remember you're doing 5 1Kers or a tempo run.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fair, and a long run. You know, 3 key runs a week.
Sure.
It's pretty basic. So yeah, and then swimming, just, you know, whatever.
Right.
You know, I don't worry about swim sessions and
Yeah.
and all of that. So yeah, it's not a secret formula in my
Right.
training. The secret formula is
Healthy.
you know, healthy recovery,
Yes.
mindset, and all of those other positive influences. Yeah.
You've raced pretty much all these guys, and now you're on the other side, right?
Yeah.
You're watching this race. So from your perspective, who do you look at? You know, we've obviously talked Jan Frodeno.
Yeah.
We've talked Sebastian Kienle, defending champion. He's going, wow, I get to be a commentator now.
Yeah.
So who do you look at as maybe someone we're not looking at, and
Who
who
are
could
you?
surprise people here?
Who are you not looking at?
Or who's, you know, obviously everybody talks Jan, everybody talks Sebi. Ben gets looked over a little bit, even though he finished second last year.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't look over a
Frederick,
guy that
who's
got
been
second.
wanted. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I remember the year I had got second.
Yeah.
Someone had written the stats of how many people have gone from podium to winning.
Right.
And it's like 80% of the winners have come from podium the previous year.
Exactly.
It's hard to go against that kind of data.
Because you learn. There's something about understanding the event.
and you get so close, you become really driven then, and you focus on the win, and it does take that focus on the win. And I think a lot of people do come here, as I did, like, oh, I'll be really happy with a podium, and I got second.
Right.
You know, it does take that I want the win to step up to the next level. And I think for a lot of guys, you know, going top 10 or top 5 or podium is that breakthrough, and then they start to go, okay, I actually can win it. And it takes that self-belief to, you know, really pull the trigger out there on the course when you need to step up and not go too hard, but at the same time, you know, be in control, make the right decisions. So, yeah, look, anyone that's finished in the podium is definitely going to be a threat this year. So, yeah, Ben Hoffman, he's had good results in Ironman since then and before then. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to see how Brent McMahon goes. You know, I caught up with him and Lance, his coach in Philippines.
Yes.
You know, really level-headed approach. And they've been training on Maui and climbing up the massive mountain with, you know, big altitude, and he seemed really, you know, he doesn't do things half-baked.
No.
You know, and Lance comes at everything really, you know, well approached, and so they seem to have his training and prep dialed in. So, you know, I'd like to see how he goes. A guy that's been training on Maui, you know, he's a rookie, but there's nothing to say rookies can't go well. So
and then that other Canadian Lionel Sanders is going to be interesting too.
Yeah. I really haven't, you know, I guess the guys that I've met, guys or girls that I've met and spoken to are the ones that I connect with. Right. And I start to go, oh, yeah, I think they're in good shape. They've got their head in the right spot. So, yeah, I'll say that'll be my dark horse then. A rookie, it'll be Brent McMahon, and not such a rookie, with Ben Hoffman. Yeah.
When I think back to times we've chatted, 2011, after that race, you realized there was a point where you just were just a little bit off when Craig Alexander made a move on the bike. You were not quite in the right place. And that affected the way you raced the following year, because the following year, it's like, I don't want to be in that position again. I want to be at the front. So there's no surprises. Nothing's going to happen in front of me that I'm not going to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough when the train seems to be getting bigger and bigger each year. And when you go over the bumps and it strings out, if people come around you, you drop further and further back. And at the same time, to pass and get back towards the front, you've really got to be careful. If you pick it at the wrong time and suddenly it starts to go downhill and everyone's like at terminal velocity and you can't continue to pass. That happened to me the year before when I finished up 9th. And you got penalty for blocking.
Right.
Because you just get stuck. You can't go
pass
anywhere.
And you can't,
so that's a real threat. And then, obviously if you just pull in because you panic and you're too close to the guy in front, it's really tactical here. Much more so than any other race.
And probably because the field's so big. And nobody's training through this race.
Yeah.
Everybody's here for one reason, to win it.
So it's really tough to get those decisions right. When to pass, when to sit in, patience. Those are the key things that will kind of make or break that person that's got their head in the right place and ready to put that extra effort in to go with the break. But you've got to be in the position to go with the break. If you don't see a gap forming and you've got to put in an extra effort to bridge up to that gap that's already making an effort, those real peaks will really tire your legs out. And, that's what you really need to avoid by really staying alert. And that's tiring in itself, staying that alert, watching for those breaks and going around the people when they go for it. So, I learned that lesson in 2011. So in 2012, I just made all the right decisions, and that's what it came down to. I was just really well mentally prepared.
Will this be the first time you've watched this race?
Actually came as a young tacker. I think it was in 2000.
Yeah.
And just managed to get a ticket over here, stay cheap accommodation with a friend that ended up, having a spare place at the last minute. So, but when I say I was so young, I mean, I think I'd maybe done one Ironman.
Right.
But it was still a very new sport to me. I don't even remember watching it I can't remember race day at all.
So we've seen, Greg Welch watched this when he was injured in 93, won it in 94. We've seen a number of athletes who, learn things from watching the race. Is that, are you doing a little recognizance here and maybe check things out, or are you going to be sitting with drinks with umbrellas going, hey, have fun out there, boys?
Yeah, there may still be more to learn about the race, and I'll definitely be watching that bike when people make moves and how it actually goes, when the faster guys catch and all of that, how Jan attacks it, because he may attack it right from the gun on the bike, and the train might never really eventuate like previous years. So we'll see, but at the same time, learn a little bit, but really just recharge. I mean, being here is just, really energizing. It's nice to get to know the place again differently. Sure. To hang out with Jamie and do some more touristy things that really, connect a bit more. Just had a swim this morning with a manta ray out there on the swim course. I came in and I'd been out there so long, I was all pruny. I mean, I couldn't have been out there that long if I was racing and done that stuff. So it's really nice to get to, I've always loved it as a kind of holiday destination, but to actually get to have a holiday here, really makes a difference. So I'll come back here a little bit more relaxed and know that, I don't have to come back here like with this protective shell around me and like not let anyone in and all of that. I can be a little more relaxed even if I'm racing next year. So that's sort of what I'm learning and just re-energizing.
It's funny, 2012 is 3 years ago, and it seems like a long time.
Yeah.
For you, does it seem that long ago, or is that memory still fresh of running down Elite Drive, winning the most important event in the sport?
Yeah, no, it's still pretty fresh, and I still, get a buzz inside.
Do you call on that sometimes?
Yeah, a little bit, and we've been doing lots of social media posts and like writing tips and that lately. So I guess I'm drawing from that experience from that year a lot lately with a bit of writing.
Yes.
And that's reconnected me with it more as well. And I started to be like, well, I do know a bit about this place and this race. And,
You think?
you know, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You know, I've certainly got, you know, a different approach sometimes to others. But, you know, there's going to be some people that I can pass on some of my knowledge
Yeah, exactly.
to and help, you know, at least one person. It's cool to know that, you know, I've been there, done that, and can pass on some of that knowledge.
Love it. Pete Jacobs has been our guest, 2012 Ironman World Champion. We again are presented by ES Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Pura Resort, Rudy Project, Slow Twitch, and Poncho Man.
Big Island surfing, whoa, 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 whoa. Big Island surfing, breakfast with Bob and brother Pete.
Love it. Thank you, Poncho Man.